I did not eat puffin, nor did I see any puffins. Puffins heard I was coming and got the heck out of there.
So quick note, I did not go through my photos from Iceland until I was editing this video, because I kind of just like to let the memories stand on their own when I'm writing a story. But that is why there are going to be a lot of photos that answer my unanswered questions or my incomplete memories throughout this whole thing, because turns out they may be low quality, but I had a lot of photos and they answer like everything.
Iceland is not really known for its food. I mean, I guess it's known for some foods, but it's not a place you go to feast. Not to worry, they have plenty of other stuff going for them, like 5 billion waterfalls and the terrain of 6 planets all crammed into one tiny space. They're probably most well known for skier. Yeah, we're going with that. Now, when I visited, which at this point was like 8 years ago, so don't expect any up-to-date info in this story, skier was not really being sold at normal American grocery stores yet, so I had not tried it. But I assumed it was pretty much the same as yogurt, and at this period in my life, I didn't like yogurt. It bored me. I like it more now, but now when I eat it, my stomach goes dramatic. And yes, I've tried so much of the dairy-free stuff. It's not bad, it's just not good. Iceland actually changed my opinion about a lot of foods, pretty much out of desperation. In case you didn't know, it's a pretty small island, pretty much in the middle of nowhere, that's pretty chilly all year round, so produce production is pretty difficult. They also can't exactly import stuff as quickly and easily as, say, France getting sausage from Denmark. I feel like I just insulted both those countries. So the food culture there is quite different, not in a they eat crazy stuff kind of way, but in a they think about their food very differently kind of way. I was coming from a rich in food place. My entire childhood there had been a lot of foods that we didn't eat, either because my mom thought it would slowly kill us, or because we couldn't afford to constantly buy enough for 9 hungry people. But I had been on my own for the last 5 years. I had that minimum wage paycheck all to myself. I ate frozen pizza now. Pause for coffee. Also, I ate a lot of fruit, because I've always loved fruit, and you get kind of used to there just being like 5 different kinds of apple in every grocery store, more if it's a fancier one. There's this grocery store in Dallas called Central Market that I absolutely love for so many reasons. One being their insane produce selection. We counted 30 different kinds of apple there one time. Do we need 30 different kinds of apple? Not really, but I like that agriculturalists are getting creative. Also, is agriculturalist a word? But in Iceland, the apples were small and kind of soft, and that was just normal for them. The longer I was there, the less picky I became about my produce. I started liking mushrooms there. Not raw, I still don't really like them raw, but cooked, yeah. Also blueberries. I did not like blueberries before I went to Iceland, which is a whole story of its own that we shan't get into right now. Yeah, you heard that right. I have a whole story for why I didn't like blueberries. It involves a burping contest. The food wasn't weird or crazy though. I was living with a family there, just eating regular home-cooked meals every day, which is something I love doing when I'm in different countries. I think the strangest thing I ate in their house was macaroni and milk. They have a name for it, I'll try to find it while editing, but you know oatmeal? Imagine that, but replace the oats with pasta. I knew some cultures do a similar thing with rice, but the elbows were pretty surprising to me. Honestly, it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't life-changing, but neither is oatmeal. Eventually, I started walking across the road to the grocery store and stocking up on snacks of my own, which I would then hide in my room so that the kids didn't know I had a secret stock of cookies. Iceland does packaged food real well. Like, they've got some good stuff. There's also this rye bread, and I've never liked rye bread here. I think it's actually because everyone puts caraway seeds in it. But it's this dark, dense rye bread that you slice really thin, and ooh! It's very good. And finally, I tried skyr. I loved it. Actually, not skyr in general, only this one specific brand that I believe was just called skyr. I think maybe it's just like the original skyr brand, and I was massively unsure about this memory, but it was confirmed on my trip to England this year because I found it in a couple of the grocery stores there. Anyway, that was the only one that I actually really liked. I've never seen it in America, and I've tried the other brands that we have here since, and I did not like it. So, was it just the right time in my life for skyr, or was that original brand just doing something magical? We'll never know. Never. I genuinely don't know if there was even a restaurant in this small town where I was staying. 45 minutes from Reykjavik and 45 minutes from the first waterfall. Y'all, it was kind of unfortunate placement, I gotta say. I got off the bus, looked around, and went, oh, I'm in Ohio. Like, no offense to Ohio, but you don't fly all the way to Iceland to spend 6 weeks on a seemingly endless flat swatch of farmland. The only time we went to a restaurant while I was there was when this little cafe a bit down the road had its grand opening. That was when I learned that I was just 45 minutes away from incredible beauty. The food was... I recall having a cup of soup. Back in Ohio, Iceland, we did go to the town hall or community center or something like that for like a holiday celebration sort of thing at one point. There were 2 super popular dishes there, as in every family had brought their renditions of these things, and pretty much these alone. One was like a crepe or a pancake, sort of halfway between those 2 heights, that was coated in cinnamon sugar on one side and then rolled up into a tube. Loved it, delicious, highly recommend whatever style of flapjacks you prefer in that method. The other was the oh so famous sandwich cake. Bread cake? Mayonnaise cake? Okay, I think this is only famous to you if you watched a very specific season of the Great British Bake Off. It's a thing that looks like a sheet cake and is decorated with the care that one might decorate a sheet cake. But it is comprised of bread, meat, and mayonnaise. So a somewhat unremarkable sandwich turned into a cake. I think some of them might have had cucumbers in them too. The amount of mayonnaise was a little overwhelming, a tad sogifying. And mayonnaise was one of the no-no foods for us growing up. It's not that expensive, so I assume my mom thought it would stunt our growth or something. So let's just say that while I don't mind it, I had never developed a taste for it. Oop. Don't do that. That's fine. It's fine. Oh, dried fish. That's the other thing Iceland is widely known for. I tried it once. Look, I'm not a big fish person, nor am I a big jerky person. It wasn't my thing. You know, I consider myself not a picky eater until I start talking about the foods that I don't like, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh dang, am I super picky? 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? 10, 12, 14, ooh, wait, is that right? Is that enough? Did I just finish? I'm glad I stopped count. Yeah, all right. Woohoo, second row. Aren't we excited? I think what it comes down to is there's pretty much nothing that I won't try once, which I believe makes me an adventurous eater, according to whoever makes terminology. And I'll pretty much eat anything if I have to, you know? If that's the only choice, I'll eat it even if I don't really like it. The only other food memory I have of Iceland, other than eating whale in a gorge, which I'm getting to, is eating a multi-course meal at a nice restaurant in Reykjavik. I roll my R's every time I say that, and it's really just me making up for the fact that I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing it right. At the end of my stay in Iceland, I did a 5-day solo road trip around the country, dining almost entirely on grocery store food while sleeping in my car and hiking to every single waterfall that showed up on the map. But I was in the capital city first, and I saw this sign for a 6-course meal at this like bougie trendy restaurant. I forget the actual name, but I think it was something like The Apothecary, just maybe in Icelandic. I don't remember what I ate. Like, at all. I know I had a cocktail that was pink and expensive, and I can kind of visualize one of the plates of food, but almost that entire memory has been erased by the trauma of getting the check. Okay, look, if you've traveled outside the US at all, then the concept of having to ask for your bill at a restaurant is old hat, right? Like, at this point in my life, I've got it. I'm good. But Iceland was my first time in another country by myself. I'd been in Italy before that, but I don't remember the dining ever throwing me off. We ate at home a lot. I was usually with other people. It did not prepare me. And if you'll recall, I hadn't been to a restaurant in the first 6 weeks of my stay in Iceland, just a few celebratory buffets. So I wrap up my 6th course at this restaurant, the server clears my plate, and I wait. And wait. And wait. At one point, he came and refilled my water glass, and I was so expecting him to say, "Would you like the check?" that when he didn't, I wasn't at all prepared to say, "Can I please have the check?" So he just went on his merry way, and I kept sitting there, staring out the window and sipping water and pretending I wasn't panicking inside. I'm not kidding, I think it was about 20 minutes that I just sat there, no longer eating, not doing anything, by myself at this table. They probably thought I was nuts, but also they probably knew I was American, so. I did eventually get my check. Believe it or not, I am not still sitting in a restaurant in Reykjavik. But yeah, that's basically all I remember about that experience. Anyway, then there was the whale. Eating whale is actually like the least interesting part of this specific story. I managed to stay in Iceland so long on my minimum wage paycheck thanks to a program called Workaway. I don't know if they still exist because by the time that I utilized them, there were already a lot of legality issues happening. But at the time, they were huge in Iceland. Huge. Like, whole farms were being run with Workaway volunteers. Hence the legality issues. When we stopped by that grand opening of the cafe up the road, I met the Workaway volunteer of a family that lived even further up the road. Because yes, this was the type of small town where the family I was staying with was at least lightly acquainted with a family that lived 45 minutes away by car because they were pretty much considered to be neighbors still. Their current volunteer was a young woman from Germany. We were about the same age and we were the only ones in the area at the moment. So we ended up doing some stuff together during that 6 weeks, which I'm really grateful for because otherwise I don't think I would have done anything until the road trip. We didn't do that much stuff together because we were still distant physically. But it's enough that it would be a whole other story. In a nutshell, we went camping, we picked up a hitchhiker, she taught me to drive stick shift, we went swimming in a really stinky hot spring, we climbed a small mountain or a big hill and I slid down the whole thing on my butt. She took me horseback riding and I cantered for the first time in my life. I guess it is a lot, even though we only spent like 4 or 5 days together in total. She knew a lot of the secret, unknown places to go though, the ones that at the time, the tourists didn't really know about because Skogafoss is bigger and more eye-catching. And one place that we went together was this ravine. Like, it was literally just a crack in the wall, y'all. I don't know how she knew about it, but there was this creek that just disappeared into a mountain. And if you followed it into the mountain, suddenly you were in Middle Earth with these craggy, moss-covered rock walls coming up around you and the trees up above turning the sun into a mottled light show, and the brook babbling along beside you. We just kept following it further and further into this mountain because there was supposed to be a waterfall at the end, an underground waterfall. No one else was there. I don't recall passing any people, even though there had been some cars at the place where we parked. It was so quiet and peaceful and straight out of a fairy tale, and then we round a corner and there's 2 guys standing there. Not just 2 guys and a table of food. If they'd been wearing cloaks, I would have thought I was hallucinating. But no, they were wearing puffer jackets and beanies, and they had coolers and a whole, like, cooking station set up, or rather, in the process of being set down, broken down. We stopped to chat, naturally. 1, this is Iceland, and pretty much everyone is happy to have a friendly chat. And 2, you don't just pass 2 guys cooking in a ravine and not find out what's going on. Turns out, one of the gentlemen was a chef. The other guy was like his buddy, just helping out. And he had been hired to prepare and set up and serve this feast for a group of people who had come to hike the ravine. We had apparently just missed them when we came in. They were done. But yeah, apparently that's a thing, to hire a private chef to set up a picnic buffet for you while you hike a hidden, gorgeous ravine in Iceland. Some people know how to travel. Of course there was food left over. I'll have to see if I can dig up the photo that I took, because I'm pretty sure there was a sheep's head. I have a fairly solid memory of a sheep's head. There was also lots of fruit and skyr, which I was very happy about, and probably lots of other stuff too that I don't really remember. But most notably, there was whale. I had heard that whale and puffin were sort of novelty gourmet foods in Iceland. Like, people aren't eating this stuff on a regular basis. It's more of like, you know, ooh la la, we have whale. So of course I tried it. Adventurous eater. It was very fatty, and I recall it tasting more like meat than like fish. Honestly, it wasn't super remarkable. I'd vote for not eating whales, generally speaking. The food was nice, but the gents were flirty, and we had a hidden underground waterfall to see, so we dined and dashed. They had set up at basically the last spot where you could safely carry stuff like a cooler and a folding table. So after that, the ravine closed in a lot more. There was just a sliver of sunlight coming from up above, and the brook eventually sort of took over the whole space, so you had to start rock climbing around it using chains that they had put in the wall for explorer safety. And then you had to climb up the side of this mini pre-waterfall, not to be mistaken for the waterfall you were there to see, but already delightful. This was lightly gymnastic and lightly hilarious, and we got lightly wet, but there was also an underscore of danger to it all. Not so much danger of getting hurt, nothing like a few weeks earlier when I had climbed the side of a cliff and gotten stuck hanging off of a rock completely by myself and out of range of help. Good times. But danger of falling in the water and getting completely soaked and then having to hike back out of this ravine and get all the way home in a state of iciness. We made it to the end though, and there was this little rocky shore where you could stand. The brook ended in a small pool of water. The rock walls were covered in glistening moss. The air was full of mist, and from a small hole overhead, a cascade of water came tumbling down, creating the river that we had just followed this whole way. I saw a lot of waterfalls in Iceland, like a lot. And many of them, most of them honestly, are unforgettable. Just overwhelmingly beautiful shows of nature. This one felt so special. It felt so magical and secret and just... We stayed there long enough that the chef and his assistant were long gone by the time we got back around that precarious rock path, safe and dry. Sometimes I forget about this stuff. I wasn't thinking about the waterfall originally. I was thinking about the restaurant trauma. That got me thinking about the foods that I ate in Iceland. I recalled the strange mid-hike buffet. And it was only as I wrote out that story that I remembered how stunning that moment at the underground waterfall was. You gotta love where a story will take you if you let it. It's morning and I haven't talked yet, so... Please don't be too quiet on this entire thing. Y'all, it was kind of unfortunate placement. I apparently don't gotta say, because I just choked in my throat. I burped twice in the middle of that, but silently. We picked up the hitchhiker. The only other... What did my voice just do? At the end of my... You didn't read the whole sentence. Why can't you have the slightest indication that you're filming? Don't be naughty already. Oh my god, this hair. I swear I've removed you 4 times from the premises. And you're still here. So I wrap up my 6th course. 6th, I can't say 6th, but almost that entire... Who's banging outside? Don't bang outside. Ooh, we're getting burpy now. Shedding.